Welcome everyone to the Inspired Home webinar series. I am Liza Kors. I am the CEO and co-founder of Envello. We are the influencer agency that is helping IHA execute this year's influencer conference, which we are very, very excited about. It takes place Friday, March 13th, the day before the show. And this webinar is really going to be focused on preparing you for what you need to know about the influencer conference, the speed networking portion, and also how to prepare, right? So what to bring with you, what to communicate with the influencers, and also even what to ask some of the influencers as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to there should be a chat box where you can go in and ask your questions, but we'll be going through the presentation. Hopefully we'll answer your questions, but we will have an opportunity at the end of the webinar to answer any leftover questions that you do have. I first want to start by giving you an overview as to what influencer marketing is. And some of you may have already participated in some of our past webinars. We've done 2 webinars with IHA where we focused on, what influencer marketing is and establishing your goals and your strategy. You can find those webinars on the housewares.org website. So that's housewares.org/education/webinars, and you can check those out. But first, let's get into a quick overview as to, what is influencer marketing? And so influencer marketing is a type of marketing where instead of you reaching your target customer directly, you are working with influencers to drive your brand message to your target audience. And so some of you may just be looking into working with influencers. Maybe some of you already have been working with influencers. So hopefully this opportunity with attending the conference will give you an opportunity to meet with influencers directly, talk to them about your goals, and maybe you even have some campaigns that you're working on that you might want to onboard them on. So that's the whole point of the conference, is to be able to bring you these new partnerships. But going back to influencers and why they really matter, influencers have really been able to create these highly engaged audiences. And so what you're essentially doing is tapping into these audiences that have chosen to follow these influencers because they inspire them, right? So it is a proactive thing that people do to actually follow these influencers. And influencers can be in a lot of different niche categories, and we've done a really great job of bringing on influencers this year that can cover a lot of different categories. So everything from, cooking to cleaning to entertaining, even home decor and lifestyle influencers. So we're really excited for you to be able to meet with them all in person. But just something to, consider with influencer marketing is, essentially what you're doing is providing your product so that influencers can incorporate them into their projects, right? So it's real, it's authentic, it's organic way to market your product. And people, again, really trust influencers, and they can really help make purchasing decisions as to what products they recommend in their daily lives. So some of the ways that brands are working with influencers, to give you some examples for you to consider with your own company, is sponsored content is probably the norm as to how working with influencers. You can see some examples here on the screen, but you can also use influencers to do event coverage. We've seen really great collaborations with brand ambassador programs. So that's where you work with influencers, not just on a one-off basis, but they really get to know the brand. Maybe they come visit your warehouse. So just longer-term relationships with these content creators. And even things like product reviews, as simple as being able to review your product, even affiliate links. So there's not just one way to work with influencers. There's a lot of different ways, and that's something that you can talk to them about when you meet with them in person. Something to also note is that there are many types of influencers, and so not just particular niche category that they cover, but also, they're split up into mega influencers, macro influencers, micro influencers, and even nano influencers. You may have heard some of these terms before and may not really, know exactly what they mean. But essentially, it's based off of their follower count. And so usually, mega will be over 1 million followers. Probably, I would assume most companies for the housewares industry and kind of where we see the most results is in the micro influencer level. You're able to get really a nice reach in audience, but also a really good engagement rate, which is really important. So you'll want to, talk to influencers regarding what tier they are, and also considering that there's different types of influencers, whether they're bloggers, maybe they're vloggers, so they create video content for you. There's also influencers that are considered more social sensations, so that's really where they've gained an audience just on social media. There's also celebrity type influencers. So there's a lot of different categories to consider when working with content creators. And so now that I covered a little bit about why you should care about influencers, how can influencers really help your business? And so when we work with a lot of clients, building brand awareness is really probably the #1 goal that we hear from brands. But I also want to just make you aware as to all the different benefits that influencers can affect on your overall marketing strategy. So for example, say you are looking to reach a new target audience. Perhaps you're looking to reach a new millennial audience, right? That they're on social media, and that's where you'll find them. So with influencers, you can reach this new target audience, but also I know that it's important to still keep your current customer. So you're able to really target different audiences based off of the different campaigns that you end up running. Something to also consider with influencers is that they're very helpful in driving traffic to your site. So you can provide direct links that they can put on, Instagram swipe up links, or even Pinterest pins, and on Facebook. And that way you can even track as to how much traffic each influencers are driving to either your landing pages or your product pages or your website. If one of your goals is to grow your own social media following, working with influencers is a really great way to do that. You can incorporate things like giveaways where you incentivize people to follow you in order to be entered in a giveaway contest. And that way they are now a fan of your company. You are now consistently promoting to them on your own social channel. And then the last thing I want to mention when working with influencers is that you end up really receiving a nice library of content, because you get to keep these images for your own marketing materials. So when you work with influencers, and depending on the influencer, some influencers will have separate image rights. So you may want to talk about that with the influencers when you meet with them. But you can then use this content for your own social media, for your own website, even print materials. I've heard people even using some of the images for their booth designs, which could be really great. So think of it as really affecting your entire marketing strategy and how it can help save you time and money in some other initiatives that you might be working on. Okay, so now that we talked about, what influencer marketing is, why you should care about working with them, let's talk about the Inspired Home Influencer Conference. And I want to start off by saying that, IHA and the association, their #1 purpose is to the benefit of their member companies. And everything that they do is to help you with your business And the Influencer Conference is just one of the many things that they do for their member companies. And they are not only putting on this conference, they are also sponsoring influencers to come and attend and then walk the show and be able to experience your product, meet with you, and then also promote you on social media. So I want to point that out, because I think that's a very special thing that they do. You don't see that across a lot of other trade shows. The attendees that will be participating in this year's Influencer Conference are all established influencers. And so what that means is that they've all worked previously on brand collaborations. They have worked on creating content, whether it's posts or working on Pinterest or creating video. All of the influencers are also focused in the home industry and a lot of the different niche categories that I mentioned earlier. So we have a really great mix of designers, stylists, even home storage organization, cleaning, of course, cooking and baking, entertaining influencers. So again, we're really excited for you to connect with them in person. Another thing that I want to mention, so this is a full day education conference for the influencers. So they will be listening to presentations from keynotes like Justina Blakeney and Sabrina Soto. We have some breakout sessions for them. And so it is a full day of education for them. And then they will have the opportunity to then receive media passes to walk the show on the consecutive trade show days. Part of the Influencer Conference is the speed networking portion, which is where you get to meet directly with the influencers. And so let's talk about that. So here's some photos from last year's speed networking portion. And some of you may have participated in it last year, so you may be familiar, and some of you have not. But each brand will have the opportunity to meet influencers during the speed networking session, which is from 2 to 4 p.m. It is an S100, so when you walk in the main entrance, it's in that grand ballroom area. Half of it will be split up where the influencers will be during the main conference series, and then the other half will be part of this networking portion. And so the doors open for you to set up your tabletop displays. You'll each receive an 8-foot draped table, and you will have about 2 hours to set up. You can see from the photos here, you can bring, your own product. You can bring any signage that you want. Some people brought in some tall signage that they can put behind them. So really it's up to you on what you want to bring. Of course, you'll have to bring it from your booth and carry it over to you. So that's something definitely to consider. Just a note that there is no electricity provided. So anything that is that you would need that for, you would need to bring either your own battery for that. It's just the tables and the chairs that you see there that will be provided for the networking portion. Let's see. I want to mention the actual appointment scheduler. So you each should have received 2 emails from Meeting Mojo, one with instructions on how to access, and then another one with your password. And so definitely, if you haven't already done so, check your email. If you still haven't received it, you can go to this website listed here and you can log in using your email, and you'll just need to reset your password. Some of you have maybe already gone in. IHA and Liana pre-populated each one of your profiles. But definitely take the time to go in and enhance your profile so that influencers can understand your brand. This is where the influencers will be able to schedule direct appointments with you from that 2-hour time period. Something to note is that you should bring 2 representatives with you, one for those preset appointments, and then another for any of the influencers that are just sort of walking around and looking to collaborate with new brands. Last year, we found that it was great to have those pre-scheduled appointments, but you also want to have someone for influencers that just want to pop in and speak to someone. So definitely having 2 representatives from your brand is recommended. If all of your time slots are filled, great. That's why that second person is there, so that influencers can pop in that might not have been able to schedule an appointment with you. If your schedule is not full, don't worry. We sent out an email today to follow up with some of the influencers that may not have logged in and actually set their appointments. So they should still be trickling in. And even if your appointment scheduler does not get filled up, again, there's going to be influencers walking around from that 2-hour time period looking for new brands to speak to. So that covers the conference portion and the scheduler component. I want to now talk about how you should prepare for the conference. And again, this might be a newer initiative that you're looking to incorporate and you're testing the waters, and this is really your first step into doing that is by participating in this influencer conference, and that is totally okay. Perhaps you already have had some experience with influencers, which is also great. It's really for all levels of brands. But our recommendations in what you should bring with you, again, 2 representatives, one to speak with preset appointments and one to speak with influencers who are browsing the different tables. Definitely want to bring a sampling of your product. Doesn't mean you have to bring it all, but it's nice to give the influencers a visual. Of course, they are always looking for content to put on their social, and that's the intention, is that they take photos and then post it on their own social media. So keeping always that in mind as to what products you want to bring with you. Any marketing collateral that you have regarding your company, the different products that you have is definitely welcomed. Of course, bring business cards that you can exchange with the different influencers, and then signage, whether it's your company name. I do know that we provide company name tags, but they're very simple. So if there's anything else that you want to bring, that is definitely welcomed. And one thing I would recommend is specifically for influencers, you have to remember that they are also building their own brand, and they have a certain look, they have a certain feel that they are also looking to keep up with on their own social presence. And so having information like what your own social stats are could be really important for these influencers. A lot of them, have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they also want to work with, established brands as well. And so being able to have, a one-pager that talks about your company, what makes you different, and then also your social stats, even like your blog stats as well, if you're looking to incorporate blogs, that could be really nice to give them. So I would recommend doing just a simple one-pager that they can take away with them. So what should you talk to them about when you actually see them? And I know last year some brands had questions regarding what to actually talk to influencers. And so here's some recommendations as to what to ask. You clearly have a focus within the home industry, and you want to find out, what their niche focus is, making sure that it's a right fit. And so if you are a cook and bakeware company, you probably are not going to work with a storage influencer. So making sure that it's a right fit right from the start, asking them what they focus on for their content. You also have specific demographic that you're looking to hit, right? A lot of you probably have different personas for your own brand, maybe even different sub-brands. So asking them, who their target audience is. Are they located in a certain region? Are they hitting a certain demographic? Is it more male? Is it more female? Asking them who their audience is and seeing if it's a right fit with who your target audience is definitely important. Another thing that you can talk to them about is past collaborations. And so, who have they worked with before? What did those campaigns look like? What were those deliverables? Maybe they have some samples that they want to show you. You can talk about these past collaborations to see if they're a good fit with maybe something that you're looking to launch in 2020 as well. And then rates. So something that you definitely want to talk about with influencers is getting what they charge for their posts. And you're going to find that it's going to be different for every influencer. There is unfortunately not a norm as to how much each charges. It changes by what their follower count is, what their engagement is like, but then also what you're asking them to do. So if you're asking them to do video content versus maybe a simple Instagram story, that is definitely going to alter what the fees for each campaign will be. So talking openly about what their rates are so you can start understanding if they're even part of your budget or maybe they could be part of your budget in the future. So now that you've asked them all these great questions to get to know them, what should you tell them about you? And a lot of it actually is very similar, right? And so you definitely want to ask them regarding you want to communicate what your goals are. So we talked earlier about all the different ways that influencer marketing can help your company, whether it's building brand awareness, driving traffic to your site, growing your own social media, scaling your content. And so here is where you can talk to them as to what your specific goals are. And maybe even taking some time to think about it beforehand. Maybe you haven't even really considered it. You were kind of just planning to show up and figuring it out then. But taking some time to think about, okay, I know I'm going to meet this group of influencers. What do I want to get out of it? And so communicating what your goals for influencer marketing with these influencers is definitely beneficial. You also want to tell them about your target audience. So at the same time of getting to know who their audience is, you want to tell them who you're looking to target, just to make sure that it's a right fit. Again, going into budget. Now, I know that a lot of you may not have a dedicated influencer marketing budget, but you do have a marketing budget. And so thinking about all the different initiatives that you are doing, talking to the influencers, getting an understanding as to what they charge, and then seeing what your budget can potentially be. I think this can be just sort of an open, honest conversation with the influencers if you don't already have a budget set in place. Some of you may already have some campaigns that you're thinking about or excited to put together, maybe some initial concepts. And you can talk to the influencers about these and see, one, if they would be interested in participating in them. But you can also get feedback from these influencers. Perhaps they have some ideas as to how to make the campaign work better, or how they've seen, collaborations really gain success and a good return on their investment. So talking about maybe some concepts that you've been thinking about with working with influencers could also be really great. And then, a lot of these influencers are also staying for the actual trade show. They are receiving media passes to walk the show. And so making sure, and this could be placed on, the one pager that I recommended, but making sure that you communicate, what your booth number is, what building you're in, where they can find you, so that they can see your big array of product during the trade show. So you want them to come visit you after. That way they're also promoting you on social, and just making sure that they see your brand not only in this tabletop display, but then also during the show. So this covers, what you should expect from the conference, what you need to know for the actual speed networking portion, and what to communicate with them. A couple notes that I want to mention. One is, I know that you received an email from Liana regarding contributing swag for the influencer conference. And so you should email Liana directly. And I think there should be a chat box that we can probably put her email if you don't have it. But it will be, 250 products that you would need to ship to Rosemont. So you would not be able to just bring it during the show. This actually needs to get shipped directly to Rosemont. And it's going to be a shoppable swag. So the product does not have to be the same product, all 250, but it should be your product. It should be something that they can take away with them and be able to then promote on their social media as well. Another thing that I forgot to mention is on the actual speed networking portion, you will have 10 minutes to speak to each influencer. And so just making sure that you're able to address, either your questions or what you want to communicate in that 10-minute time frame. We will be there to time and sort of keep you on track so that you're talking to as many potential partnerships as possible. And so we'll be giving you sort of a 2-minute warning to speak to the next appointment. I want to now open it up to any questions that you have, and please, continue to bring them in. This is really where we want to make sure that you're prepared, that you feel comfortable coming to the conference, and that you get the best out of this experience.
Hi, Liza. We have several questions for you.
Okay, perfect. And I know that Liana is also on the webinar. So, if I'm not able to answer something on the brand side, she can definitely step in.
Okay, first one, is there somewhere we can get a list of all the influencers that will be attending the conference?
So this is Liana. I'll go ahead and take that one. Hi, everybody. So the list of influencers is available a couple different ways. First of all of them who have agreed to have their email addresses and contact information released are part of the media list that will be available to you. Secondly, they are all part of the Meeting Mojo software that you should all have access to. You should be able to see a list from there. But what I will also tell you is that we are happy to send out a list of everybody to you. I will let you know that we're still taking in lots of registrations. So I can certainly provide a list from where we're at currently, and then follow that up with maybe additional registrations we get in. If you would like to receive a list of the influencers we have to date, please reach out to me directly, and I will go ahead and send that your way.
All righty. The next one is, what time can you start setting up as a brand?
Okay, I'll go ahead and take that one too. So we're going to open the doors at noon. So you can come down and start to put your product down there. There will be security. There will be the influencers and all of us in the room. So you do not have to worry about leaving things down there between noon and 2 o'clock.
Moving on, how many people per table can attend from the brand?
2 people.
I can keep going here. So ideally 2. I think anytime you get more than 2, you're going to have, it's going to be crowded and maybe a little bit overwhelming if you just have one influencer sitting there with 3 people. That being said, if you are in a situation where you can only have one person at the table because you need coverage at your booth upstairs, please just let me know so I'm aware, and then just make sure you're prepared to manage both meetings and potential walk-ups.
All right. Excuse me, are influencers allowed into the press room? I worry they will take all our press kits versus traditional media? Thoughts?
So they are allowed into the press room. I don't know how many of them will actually take the press kits. Let me have a conversation with Debbie Teschke about that and see if she recommends bringing any extras because of that. The influencers were allowed in the press room last year as well, so she may have a better sense than me of how many of them actually took materials away.
What is the cost?
There is no cost to participate. So I'm assuming this an email from someone who maybe is not currently signed up for the event. This is Liana. Please reach out to me directly. Again, we'll provide my email address at the end of this webinar here. Please reach out to me directly about signing up if you are not currently.
We have 3 tables for speed networking. Will there be a map distributed of our table location?
There will, yes. So we are still assigning table numbers. We will be providing that to you. There are numbers in Meeting Mojo right now. I would suggest you not memorize those, as those are going to change based on the layout of the room. So we will actually put together a map and give that to you ahead of time, and then the influencers will also receive that so that they can easily get from meeting to meeting.
How many influencers attending also submit content to the Inspired Home consumer-facing site?
It's a great question. So we have 5 regular contributors for the inspiredhome.com. All 5 of them will be in attendance.
Can any brand set up these meetings with Meeting Mojo, or do we need to register or pay somewhere?
So I think that's kind of similar question to before. It sounds like we've got a couple people on who might not be signed up for the conference yet. This is Liana. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at IHA. Please reach out to me directly and we can have a conversation about getting you involved. And there is no cost to participate.
When hiring an influencer, what is the best way to determine ROI? Sorry. Most metrics I have seen are impressions and views. Do you have any ideas how the influencers campaigns to sales?
Yeah, I can take that question. So it will go back to your goals as to what you're looking to achieve for influencer marketing. If your goal is to achieve sales, there are a couple of different ways that you can incorporate things like affiliate links or even just links that track any website traffic that they're bringing to you. So there's different things that you can incorporate in the campaign to be able to track those different metrics. But yes, I would say, normally when we work on brand collaborations, there's always a minimum number of reach and impressions and engagement rate that you're looking to get out of each influencer that is then being targeted to their audience.
Okay.
I will say too, we are hosting a 4th webinar with IHA after the show. We haven't set the date yet. That talks a little bit more about ROI with influencer marketing and just the different types of goals that you should not only implement, but then how to measure all of those goals as well. So watch out for that.
Should I attach contact information or business card on my shoppable swag items?
That's a great question. I guess, yeah, I mean, it depends on the product that you're bringing. I would say leaving it open to you. I don't see any reason on our end why that wouldn't be okay, but I'll kick it to Liana to see what her thoughts are.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. I think it depends on what you're leaving behind and whether or not you can affix something to it. You can certainly also, if you provide us with a stack of business cards, we can certainly set them up right there, maybe next to the products that the influencers are shopping. So we can figure out a way to make that work. I just want to note very quickly, we've got a couple questions in here that are very specific. One person had asked for the list of influencers. And then, Catherine, I saw your note about the Meeting Mojo email. So both of those I will handle individually after this webinar.
Could you please tell us the setup time again for the networking?
Doors open at 12 p.m. and you have until 2 p.m. when the actual networking starts. So you have a 2-hour time frame to get set up.
Is there guidelines somewhere that would let us know what a successful campaign and reach per number of followers would be?
I would highly recommend going back to one of our past webinars that we actually put together with IHA. And again, you can find that at housewares.org under their webinar series tab. We dive into a lot of the specifics as to what makes a successful influencer campaign. But really it's going to depend a lot on your budget and again, what your goals are. But I will say that, brands are able to execute successful campaigns with a minimal amount of budget. It just depends on, what you're looking to attain out of it. If you have any specific questions, we'll be at the show as well and, would be happy to answer any other questions you have.
Right. Can you explain what the shoppable swag means?
Sure, I'll take that one. So what we're going to do is instead of handing out pre-packed swag bags, I actually saw this concept at another influencer event, and it was really cool. What they do is you take all the products that are available, for giveaways to the influencers and actually placed on shelves so that influencers can go in and kind of shop those shelves and kind of pick and choose what they want. So it's a fun, interactive way for them to collect the swag that they're doing, and then certainly any product that's left over, if folks would like that shipped back to them, I'm happy to take that on.
Can brands attend any other portion of the influencer conference, or are we just limited to the speed networking event?
Yeah, so it's really just a speed networking event. If there are any specific sessions that you have an interest in sitting in on, go ahead and shoot me an email and let me know. But in terms of the full day event, we're keeping that to the influencers just for our capacity reasons.
Are we bringing 250 items, and are they picking and choosing what they want at the event?
Yes, that's kind of how the concept works.
Okay. I believe that's all the questions, Liana and Liza.
Okay, perfect. And so I don't know if there's a way for you to provide Liana's email, but maybe you want to just say it out loud.
Sure. It's L. So hold on, let me back up. So my full name is Liana Salama. So my email is LSALAMAH@housewares.org. I see another question on here. Shoppable swag should be sent to me, to my attention here in Rosemont. I will actually follow up and send an email out with specifics about the shoppable swag so you know how much, where to send it, and how it will be used.
Okay, perfect.
And that's it.
Well, we're so excited for all of you to participate. This is going to be a really exciting event, and we will see you all in March.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Oh, hold on. I see a repeat email request. Let me do that one more time. It's L, as in lion, S-A-L, again, A, M as in man, A-H, at housewares.org. Great. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.